What if I told you that one of the most original voices of the early 2000s wasn't just overlooked, but deliberately pushed out of the spotlight? And what if the names behind her quiet exit included two of the most powerful women in music, Beyoncé and Jennifer Lopez? Because when you talk about Amerie, you're talking about a woman whose sound shook the industry and then was mysteriously muted. This isn't just a story about talent. It's a story about power, timing, and what happens when the wrong person hears your sound at the right moment. Let's rewind. Summer 2002, Amerie hits the scene with Why Don't We Fall in Love, and just like that, R&B has a new face. Her debut album, All I Have, follows in July and hits #2 on Billboard's top R&B and hip-hop albums. The sound? Fresh. A mix of smooth melodies, go-go rhythms, and East Coast elegance. Amerie had arrived. Born to a Korean mother and an African-American father, Amerie grew up on military bases, moving frequently, before finally settling in Washington, D.C. That eclectic upbringing helped shape her musical identity, bold, diverse, and unapologetically unique. She studied English at Georgetown and originally planned to become a writer or an entertainment lawyer, but fate had other plans. She linked up with Rich Harrison, a producer also from the D.C. area, who instantly clicked with her vision. Together, they created something new, something inspired by D.C.'s go-go music scene, a local sound that rarely made it outside the city. Amerie and Rich didn't just make music, they built an identity. Fast forward to 2005, Amerie drops One Thing. And it's not just a hit, it's a cultural reset. The horns, the bounce, the energy. It earns her a Grammy nod, and decades later, people still call it one of the best songs of the 2000s. But here's where the story starts to turn. That same single, One Thing, was almost never released. Amerie and Rich created it in just a few hours, but when they sent it to Columbia Records, the label rejected it, over and over. According to Amerie, the execs just didn't get it. Hold on to that phrase, because it comes back in a big way. Enter Beyoncé. By now, she's gearing up to go solo. Her first solo effort, Work It Out, didn't land the way fans or her team had hoped. It had a funk-inspired feel, but lacked the punch needed to dominate the charts. Her father, Matthew Knowles, knew she needed a signature sound. So he reached out to Rich Harrison, the same Rich Harrison who crafted Amerie's breakout style. Rich delivers a track, Crazy in Love, with the same heavy horns and signature bounce that fans had started associating with Amerie. Beyoncé records it, the song becomes her official breakout, a smash, a career-defining anthem. But here's the twist. Rich had been working with Amerie first. Fans and critics began to ask, was Crazy in Love inspired by or lifted from the very style Amerie had just introduced? Even Beyoncé acknowledged the risk. In an interview, she said she wasn't sure people would understand the horn-heavy track. That's exactly what Columbia said about Amerie's song. The industry didn't get it until Beyoncé sang it. It wasn't just Beyoncé. Around the same time, Jennifer Lopez drops Get Right, another Rich Harrison production, another song with that go-go bounce. Rumors exploded that Columbia wanted J.Lo to record One Thing herself. When Amerie resisted, she allegedly leaked it to radio just to keep it as hers. Even more suspicious, the alleged timeline. Rich had Crazy in Love in his vault while working with Amerie. In an interview, he admitted he was careful about when and how to shop that sound. He didn't want people to hear it before it was ready, before the right artist could take it mainstream. Some fans believe Rich used Amerie's ideas as a test run, then handed them over to bigger artists. Others say Amerie was simply caught in the middle of a machine that valued star power over innovation. This wasn't just creative overlap. This was a full-on musical identity crisis, with Amerie at the center and losing. Her label didn't push her, didn't promote her. When she dropped her third album, Because I Love It, it was only released overseas. In the US, you could only get digital copies, and this was 2007, when digital music was barely a thing. She didn't even chart. Amerie later said the label refused to fight for her vision. They wanted her to be someone else. They wanted her to be easier to market. Meanwhile, Beyoncé and J.Lo had the spotlight and the full support of the machine. And it gets deeper. Amerie has talked about having to fight industry men constantly, executives who wanted her to change, compromise, conform. She refused. And the cost? Her career. Insiders claim that Columbia tried to bury her lead single because J.Lo's album Rebirth was coming out. Multiple versions of one thing were rejected, not because of quality, but allegedly because it might overshadow J.Lo's rollout. The industry didn't want two women competing with similar sounds, especially if one had more star power. The truth is, Amerie was never a media darling. She didn't play the industry politics. She didn't chase the spotlight. She wasn't molded or managed. And for women in the music business, that often means being sidelined. Every few months, the debate comes back online. Did Beyoncé and J.Lo steal Amerie's sound? Some fans insist yes, pointing to the timelines, the producers, the similarities. Others say it was just bad luck and poor timing. One fan wrote, "They swooped in and snatched her sound." Another shot back, "You can't copyright a vibe. She got buried by the business, not Beyoncé." Even now, Gen Z is discovering Amerie through TikTok edits and nostalgia videos. Her influence hasn't disappeared. It's just been repackaged, relabeled, and attached to bigger names. So where is she now? Amerie turned inward. She started a YouTube channel, built a book club, became an author, interviewed writers, created a life that wasn't based on hits or chart placements. And quietly, she's still working on music on her terms. She's married to her longtime manager and has 2 children. She's thriving, but out of the limelight, and that might be exactly how she wants it. Maybe she didn't lose the game. Maybe she walked away from it. So was Amerie robbed? Or did she escape? Because while the world argues over stolen sounds, she's built something real, something lasting, something that can't be stolen. Drop your thoughts below. Was Amerie pushed out by the very artists we celebrate today? Or was she just ahead of her time? Sound off in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories that the industry doesn't want you to hear. Until next time, keep listening, keep questioning, and keep the truth alive.